started as May Greibel takes us to a dark train station in Germany with a pot of coffee and Brunhilde in Caffeine and the Cold War.
As my German friend's car pulled away from the curb that December night, I had a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. We had seriously miscalculated. The train station appeared dark and uninhabited. The doors were open, however, and we briefly hoped for the best. A coffee shop, maybe? A human being anywhere? An open bar, a place which was heated and lighted. Anywhere? That particular winter night was quite cold, with a hard, blowing wind. The station clearly had no central heating. This was not going according to our plan. We three American girls, all studying in England, had decided to explore Europe during our Christmas break. In those long ago days before Travelocity or the internet, we weren't quite sure how to get from our school to Wolfsburg, where we planned to pick up a Volkswagen at the factory, courtesy of one girl's dad who owned a dealership. A German guy whom I had met in the university choir came to the rescue. We could ride with him to a train station, merely a 2-hour train trip from Wolfsburg, before the quiet, proper, reserved German male knew what had hit him. His small car was crammed with 3 excited and loquacious 20-year-old American females and our paraphernalia for a month of traveling. Our idea, in our great state of naivete, was to eat a snack in the station's restaurant and then to sleep on the benches until the gates opened. We could buy our tickets and then be off on our quest for adventure. Europe, we shouted with exhilaration, here we come. We should have opened our eyes to reality before the car drove away, leaving us by those ever so dark doors. As we entered the station, we looked around in dismay, finally picked a random bench, and then huddled together in the dark and cold until one of us popped up saying, "The bathroom. I bet it has at least a light. Maybe it might even have a chair or a couch." So, lugging our possessions, we slid our way to the restroom door. As we opened the door, wonder of wonders, the room was lighted. However, the only apparent seat was occupied by Brunhilde. Now, she really was not wearing a Wagnerian horned helmet, nor did she carry a spear, but her body build and her dreadful scowl were both appropriate for the role. So now to set the scene, we have 3 tired, hungry, and thirsty 20-year-old American girls with more luggage than sense, facing Brunhilde, the guardian of the neatness and cleanliness of her assigned set of potties. In our great wisdom, we knew no German, nor had we thought to bring with us a translation vocabulary guide. Even worse, because we had hoped to get a better exchange rate for marks than we would have had in England, we had no German money. We stared at Brunhilde, and she stared back. We said, "Hello?" She said nothing. Despite having no place to sit in the restroom, and despite Brunhilde, we were reluctant to leave that clean and lighted area, only to return to the drafty, dark, cold, and somewhat creepy railroad terminal itself. We decided to pick a corner of the restroom, sit on the floor, and have a picnic. Each of us had some snacks to contribute, and one of the girls had a small coffee maker. That was where caffeine met Brunhilde. She was not pleased when we dared to draw water from one of the sinks for our coffee. Despite our smiles, bittes, and our sign languages, we tried to offer her some coffee. However, an unsteady détente was initially maintained in the railroad station bathroom between the German matron of the loo and we three American girls. Maintained, that was, until the fluid volume and the diuretic effects of the coffee hit. We simply had to use it. But all of the stalls in the restroom were locked, and Brunhilde had the keys. We studied the stalls, but our analysis was fruitless. The doors went all the way to the floor and were also quite tall, reaching the tops of the framework. There was no way to sneak under the doors and no chance to climb over, even if we tried to pile up some of our luggage into a stack. Desperation began to kick in. We looked for trash cans. There were none, except for one behind Brunhilde. Lacking the appropriate money, we offered her English pounds and American dollars, the latter of which actually had some value back then. We dropped to our knees with clasped hands, pointing to the stall door locks and begging, "Bitte, bitte." The scowl never softened, and her only words to us were, "9, 9. Finally, our frantic needs drove me beyond the boundaries of polite Southern female behavior. As Mother Nature reached a critical point, I made the motions of piling up luggage and then demonstrating to Brunhilde my intent to climb up the sink, pull up down my wool slacks, and relieve myself in one of her well-scoured sinks. That cut her to the quick, apparently. Muttering German, which we probably were better off not to have understood, Brunhilde grumpily opened a single stall. With each of us fearing that we personally might miss out on her largesse, all three of us crammed ourselves into that small stall. That was a long and trying night, which fortunately did not set the tone for our entire trip, as our travels were full of wonderful adventures and many laughs. I have always wondered, however, how Brunhilde described that night to her family and friends. I think it is probably still a good thing that I didn't know German.
May Greibel, an intrepid traveler whose bag is almost always packed and ready to go, in her real life works for the College of Medicine and University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences as a pediatric neurologist in the Sleep Disorder Center at Arkansas Children's Hospital. While her first love is her family, her second has been helping children and struggling families. Having loved reading all her life, she is now working on finding her inner writer.